The wine glass shattered against the hardwood floor 3 feet from where I stood, and suddenly every conversation in the room died. Brielle Knox was on her feet, shaking, pointing at me like I'd just confessed to murder. "You," she said, her voice cracking perfectly on cue. "You poisoned my marriage. You told me to leave him. You ruined everything." My stomach dropped to my feet. Around the room, 20 family members turned to stare at me. Not at her. Me. My mother-in-law Daphne was already moving toward Brielle, wrapping protective arms around her shoulders. "It's okay, sweetheart," Daphne said, shooting me a look that could freeze blood. "We're all here for you." I opened my mouth to defend myself, but no sound came out. My husband stood 5 feet away, silent as stone. Brielle sobbed louder, leaning into Daphne's embrace like a child seeking shelter. "I trusted her," she wailed. "I told her everything about my problems with Tyler, and she kept pushing me to leave him. She said I deserved better. She put these ideas in my head." That was when I realized something terrifying. Everyone in that room believed her. Not one person had asked me a single question. The whispers started immediately. I could hear them even through Brielle's theatrical crying. My husband's aunt leaned toward her sister and said, "I always thought Arden seemed a bit off. Too quiet. You never really know what she's thinking." Someone else muttered, "Poor Brielle. She's been through so much." My cousin's wife, who'd never spoken more than 10 words to me at any gathering, shook her head sadly like she'd predicted this all along. I looked at my husband, desperate for him to say something, anything. His name is Camden Wells, and we'd been married for 4 years. 4 years of family dinners where I smiled and nodded. 4 years of keeping my opinions small so nobody would think I was difficult. He met my eyes for half a second, then looked away. Brielle ramped up her performance, her voice rising to make sure everyone could hear. She told me Tyler was holding me back. She said I was wasting my life. Every time we talked, she pushed me further away from him. My hands were shaking. None of that was true. Not one word. But looking around that room, I saw it didn't matter. They'd already decided. Daphne was the one who delivered the final blow. She turned to me with cold eyes and said, "I think you owe Brielle an apology. For the sake of keeping peace in this family." My throat felt like it was closing. 20 pairs of eyes watched me, waiting for me to bend. Waiting for me to apologize for something I didn't do just so everyone could go back to their dessert and pretend this never happened. I looked at Camden again. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Arden," Daphne said sharply. "Did you hear me?" My voice came out smaller than I wanted. "I didn't do what she's saying. I never told her to leave Tyler. I listened when she needed someone to talk to, but I never." "Stop lying," Brielle cut me off, her tears drying up just enough to show real anger underneath. "Stop making this worse than it already is. Just admit what you did." Camden's uncle cleared his throat. "Maybe Arden didn't mean any harm," he said, and for a moment I thought someone was going to defend me. Then he finished. "But she should still apologize. It's the right thing to do." I felt something crack inside my chest. These people didn't care about the truth. They cared about comfort. About not having to pick sides or ask hard questions. Daphne stepped closer to me, lowering her voice. "You're embarrassing yourself and this family. Apologize to Brielle, and we can all move past this." I looked at her, then at Camden, then at Brielle's face where I could see the tiniest hint of satisfaction. "I need to leave," I whispered. Camden finally moved, putting a hand on my arm. "Let's just go," he muttered. As we walked toward the door, I heard someone say, "Well, that was uncomfortable." Like I was the problem. Like I'd ruined their evening. The car ride home was 15 minutes of thick, suffocating silence. I kept waiting for Camden to say something. To ask me what really happened. To tell me he knew I wouldn't do what Brielle claimed. Instead he just drove, jaw-tight, eyes on the road. When we pulled into our driveway, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "You didn't say anything." My voice shook. "You stood there and let them treat me like I was guilty, and you didn't say one word." Camden turned off the engine and sighed like I was being difficult. What did you want me to do, Arden? Start a fight in front of the whole family? I wanted you to defend me, I said louder now. I wanted you to tell them your wife isn't the kind of person who destroys marriages. I wanted you to believe me. He rubbed his face with both hands. It's not about what I believe. It's about not making this worse than it already is. If we'd stayed and argued, it would have turned into a whole thing. It already is a whole thing, I shot back. Your family just accused me of something horrible, and you acted like I deserved it. I didn't act like anything, he snapped. I got you out of there before it escalated. Let's just drop it for tonight, okay? Everyone will calm down, and this will blow over. Something inside me went very quiet and very cold. He thought this would blow over. He thought I should just wait and let time make everyone forget. I reached for my phone to distract myself from the anger building in my chest. That was when I saw the notification. Or rather, the lack of one. I opened the family group chat where everyone shared photos and made plans. The chat I'd been part of for 4 years. I wasn't in it anymore. Someone had removed me. The next 3 days felt like walking through fog. I called Camden's sister Ashley, who'd always been friendly to me. She didn't pick up. I texted her twice. No response. I tried reaching out to Camden's cousin Blake, who'd once told me I was his favorite person at family gatherings. He read my message and never replied. On the 4th day, I was at the grocery store when I ran into Camden's Aunt Pauline. She saw me coming down the aisle and actually turned her cart around to avoid me. Like I was contagious. That evening, I overheard Camden on the phone with his mother. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. Our apartment isn't that big. Mom, I know, he was saying. Yes, she's upset. No, I don't think she meant to hurt anyone. Can we just give this some time? A pause then. I'll talk to her about it. When he came back into the living room, I was staring at my phone. Brielle had posted something on social media. It was one of those vague quote images about betrayal and fake friends. The caption said, "Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones with the sharpest knives. Trust is earned, not given. Protect your peace from toxicity." 3 family members had already commented with heart emojis and stay strong messages. I showed Camden. He barely glanced at it. She's just venting, he said. Don't read into it. But I was reading into everything now. Because late that night, lying in bed while Camden slept, I remembered something. I scrolled through my messages until I found them. The texts Brielle had sent me months ago. Late-night messages when she was scared and desperate and didn't know who else to talk to. It had started 6 months earlier on a Tuesday night around 11 p.m. My phone buzzed with a message from Brielle. "Are you awake? I need to talk to someone." I'd been surprised. Brielle and I weren't close. We were friendly at family events, but we'd never texted privately before. I wrote back, "I'm up. What's wrong?" The floodgates opened. She told me her marriage to Tyler was falling apart. That she'd been hiding credit card debt from him, spending money they didn't have on things she didn't need. That she'd been texting an old boyfriend behind Tyler's back. Not physical cheating, she insisted, but emotional. She said she felt trapped. That she'd made so many mistakes she didn't know how to fix them. I remember sitting up in bed, reading message after message as she poured out everything. At one point she wrote, "I think Tyler's going to leave me when he finds out about the cards. I'm so scared, Arden. What do I do?" I'd responded carefully, trying to be supportive without telling her what to do. "You need to be honest with him," I wrote. "Hiding it will only make it worse. Tyler loves you. Maybe if you tell him the truth, you two can work through it together." She seemed grateful that night. She thanked me for listening, for not judging. Over the next few weeks she kept texting, always late at night, always full of fear about what would happen if her lies came out. I kept giving the same advice. Be honest, face the consequences, trust that the truth would hurt less than more lies. Now, lying in the dark, I finally understood. Those conversations were never about getting advice. They were about creating a backup plan. If her marriage exploded, she needed someone to blame. Someone other than herself. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding as the pieces fell into place. Brielle had confided in me knowing everything might fall apart. And when it did, she'd twisted every conversation we had. Turned be honest with Tyler into leave Tyler. Turned me listening into me manipulating. She'd used me as insurance. Scapegoat. Someone to point at when people asked why her marriage failed. And Daphne. Daphne's instant support suddenly made perfect sense. Brielle was the daughter of Daphne's best friend. They'd known each other since Brielle was born. If Brielle's marriage collapsed because of her own choices, it would embarrass Daphne. But if it collapsed because of someone else's influence, because of the new daughter-in-law nobody really knew that well, then Daphne could play the protective mother figure. The family image stayed intact. Brielle stayed the victim. I stayed the villain. I was still staring at my phone, reading through old messages, when it buzzed with a new text. From Brielle. My hands went cold. The message said, "Arden, I know you're upset, but please don't make this worse. Can we talk? Just the two of us." I stared at those words for a full minute. Then I typed back, "What do you want?" 3 dots appeared immediately. She'd been waiting for my response. "I want to fix this," she wrote. "I don't want our family torn apart. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? Please." Every instinct told me it was a trap. But I needed to know what she was planning. I wrote back, "Okay. 2 p.m. at the coffee shop on Maple Street." Brielle arrived 10 minutes late, wearing sunglasses even though we were inside. She sat down across from me and immediately started crying. "I'm so sorry," she said, reaching across the table like she wanted to hold my hand. Pulled back. "What are you sorry for, Brielle?" She dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. "For everything. For putting you in the middle of my mess. For what happened at the dinner. I was just so overwhelmed. And when everyone started asking questions about why Tyler and I were fighting, I panicked. So you blamed me." She flinched. "I didn't mean to. Just came out. You were the only person I'd talked to about my problems. And when Daphne asked if anyone had been influencing me, your name just slipped out. I know how bad that sounds. It sounds like you threw me under the bus to save yourself," I said flatly. Brielle leaned forward, lowering her voice. "I'll fix it. Promise. I'll tell everyone I was confused and emotional. But Arden, I need you to do something for me first." There it was. "What?" "Those messages I sent you," she said carefully. "The ones where I talked about Tyler and the debt and everything. I need you to delete them. All of them." My blood went cold. "Why?" "Because if Tyler finds out I was talking about him behind his back, it'll make everything worse. If those messages get out somehow, I'm ruined. He'll use them in the divorce. Daphne will be furious. Please, Arden. Delete them. For everyone's sake." I sat back, finally seeing it clearly. She didn't want to fix anything. She wanted to erase the evidence. I left the coffee shop without promising her anything. When I got home, Camden was working at the dining table. I sat down across from him and pulled up the message thread with Brielle on my phone. "I need you to read something," I said. He barely looked up. "Can it wait? I'm in the middle of." "Camden, please. Just look." I handed him my phone. He scrolled for maybe 30 seconds, his expression barely changing. Then he handed it back. "Okay," he said. "Okay." I repeated, incredulous. "Did you read what she wrote?" She admitted she was lying to Tyler. She was terrified about being caught. This proves I didn't tell her to leave him. I told her to be honest. Camden sighed. "Arden, I don't want to get dragged into this. You're already in it. I'm your wife. And Brielle is family too," he said, his voice taking on an edge. "If you show these messages to people, it's going to start a war. My mom will lose it. Tyler will lose it. The whole family will explode." I stared at him. "So you want me to just let everyone keep thinking I'm the villain?" "I want you to let it go," he said. For the sake of keeping peace. This will blow over if you stop making it a thing. Making it a thing. Like I was the problem. Like I'd created this situation by having the audacity to defend myself. What if I don't let it go? I asked quietly. Camden's jaw tightened. Then you'll tear this family apart. Is that what you want? To be the person who ruins everything? I picked up my phone and walked to the bedroom. I locked the door behind me and sat on the edge of the bed, shaking. My own husband wouldn't stand up for me. Wouldn't even look at the proof. Finally understood. I was completely alone in this. The smear campaign picked up speed. Daphne told Camden's uncle that I was obsessed with drama, and always stirring the pot. I heard this third hand from Camden's cousin, who said it in a way that made it clear he believed it. Brielle posted another quote. This one said, "Some people twist your words to fit their narrative. Don't let liars control your story." More hearts. More supportive comments. Ashley, Camden's sister, commented, "The truth always comes out eventually." I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. I didn't post anything. Didn't defend myself publicly. Didn't reach out to family members to explain my side. I'd learned something important. When you're loud and wrong, people often believe you. When you're quiet and right, they assume you're guilty. The silence was killing me. But it was also teaching me something. Every day I stayed quiet, they got bolder. Brielle's story got more detailed. Suddenly I hadn't just encouraged her to leave Tyler. I'd supposedly told her he was abusive and controlling. I'd allegedly said she deserved someone better. None of it was true. But the lie was growing because I wasn't fighting it. And that's when I realized something important. Silence wasn't protecting me. It was protecting them. It was giving them permission to rewrite history. So I stopped thinking about defense. And I started thinking about evidence. Late that night I opened my laptop. Created a new folder. I started organizing. Messages. Timestamps. Voice notes I'd completely forgotten about. Screenshots of every conversation. A timeline of when she confided in me versus when she blamed me. I didn't rush. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I just quietly built my case. 2 weeks after the dinner, Daphne sent a text to Camden. "Family meeting Sunday at 3 p.m. Everyone needs to be there. No excuses." Camden showed me the message with a resigned look. "I'm guessing this is about you and Brielle. I'm guessing you're right. Are you going to come?" he asked. Thought about saying no. About refusing to walk into another ambush. But I knew what would happen if I didn't show. They'd have the meeting without me. They'd decide my guilt without me present. And I'd spend the rest of my life branded as the woman who destroyed Brielle's marriage. "I'll be there," I said. Camden looked relieved. Good. Maybe this will finally settle everything. He had no idea what I was planning. Over the next few days I prepared. I went through every message one more time, marking the ones that mattered most. I created a document with dates and times. I practiced staying calm. Because I knew how this would go. They'd expect me to walk in defensive. Emotional. Easy to dismiss. Instead, I was going to walk in with evidence. With proof they couldn't argue away. Sunday morning, I woke up with my heart racing. Camden tried to make small talk over breakfast. I barely heard him. At 2:45, we pulled into Daphne's driveway. Cars lined both sides of the street. The whole family was there. Camden squeezed my hand as we walked to the door. "Just stay calm," he said. "Don't make it worse." I almost laughed. How could I make it worse? We walked inside. 20 people sat in the living room. And in the center next to Daphne sat Brielle. She looked up when I entered. Eyes met. And I saw it. She thought she'd already won. Daphne didn't waste time. The moment everyone was seated, she stood up like she was chairing a board meeting. "Thank you all for coming," she said. "I think we all know why we're here. This situation with Arden and Brielle has gone on long enough. It's time we cleared the air and moved forward as a family." I sat on the couch with Camden beside me. Across the room, Brielle dabbed at her eyes with a tissue, playing her part perfectly. Daphne continued. Brielle has been very hurt by the things that were said to her, by the advice she was given during a vulnerable time in her marriage. We've all seen how this has affected her, and I think it's only fair that we give Arden a chance to explain herself and, hopefully, apologize so we can all heal. The room was silent. Every eye turned to me. This was it. The moment they'd orchestrated, where I was supposed to break down, apologize for things I didn't do, and let them rewrite history. Camden leaned close and whispered, "Just say you're sorry, please." I looked around the room. At the relatives who'd stopped talking to me. At Daphne, who'd decided I was guilty before hearing a word from me. At Brielle, who was watching me with fake tears and real satisfaction. Then I looked at my husband, who was asking me to lie to make everyone comfortable. Took a breath. Before I say anything, I started, my voice steadier than I expected. I have a question for everyone here. Daphne frowned. Arden, this isn't the time for. Do you want the truth? I interrupted, looking directly at her. Or do you want the version that keeps you comfortable? The room went very quiet. Daphne's face hardened. Excuse me. It's a simple question, I said. Do you actually want to know what happened between Brielle and me? Or do you just want me to apologize so you can all go back to pretending everything's fine? Camden's hand tightened on my knee. A warning. Brielle spoke up, her voice shaking. I've already told everyone what happened, Arden. Why are you trying to make this more complicated? Because what you told them isn't true. I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. Then I set it on the coffee table in front of me. And I can prove it. The energy in the room shifted. Daphne stepped forward. What are you talking about? I'm talking about evidence, I said calmly. Text messages, voice notes, conversations that show exactly what happened and when. Brielle's face drained of color. You said you'd delete those. You asked me to delete them, I corrected. I never said I would. Daphne looked between us, confused. Someone explain what's happening right now. Picked up my phone. 6 months ago, Brielle started texting me late at night. She told me things about her marriage she'd been hiding. Things she was scared would come out. She asked for my advice. Gave it. And now she's claiming I told her to leave Tyler to cover up her own choices. That's not true, Brielle said, but her voice had lost its confidence. Then you won't mind if I play some of these messages, I said. Tapped my phone. Brielle's voice filled the room, tinny but clear from a voice note she'd sent at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday in March. Arden, I don't know what to do. I've been lying to Tyler for months about the credit cards. I spent almost $8,000 he doesn't know about. I'm so scared he's going to leave me when he finds out. What if this ends my marriage? What if everyone finds out what I did? The room was frozen. Everyone stared at the phone like it was a bomb. Before anyone could speak, I played another one. This time from April, 2 a.m. I know I shouldn't be texting him, but I can't help it. Tyler would lose his mind if he knew I was talking to Connor again. But Connor actually listens to me. He makes me feel like I matter. I know it's wrong, but I'm not ready to stop. Brielle lunged forward, reaching for my phone. Stop it. Turn it off. I pulled the phone back calmly. Camden caught Brielle's arm. Brielle, sit down. She's taking everything out of context, Brielle said desperately, looking around at everyone. Those messages don't mean what she's making them sound like. Kept my voice level. Then let me show the context. I pulled up screenshots on my phone and turned it so everyone could see. These are my responses. Here's where she asked what she should do about the debt, and I wrote, You need to be honest with Tyler. Hiding it will only make things worse. I swiped to the next image. Here's where she told me she was texting Connor, and I wrote, Brielle, that's not fair to Tyler. You need to either commit to your marriage or be honest that you're not happy. I looked up at the room. Show me where I told her to leave him. Show me where I said Tyler was controlling or abusive. Show me where I pushed her to destroy her marriage. Silence. Daphne's face had gone pale. Camden was staring at my phone like he'd never seen it before. Ashley had her hand over her mouth. I swiped to another screenshot. This one is from 3 days before the family dinner. Brielle texted me. Tyler found out about Connor. Everything's falling apart. If your family asks, please don't tell them I was talking to someone else. I'm begging you. I looked at Brielle. Is that still out of context? Daphne found her voice first. Brielle, is this true? Were you texting another man behind Tyler's back? Brielle's tears were real now, but for a different reason. It wasn't like that. Connor and I were just friends. Arden's making it sound worse than it was. Then explain the credit card debt, I said quietly. Explain why you hid $8,000 in spending from your husband. Tyler's brother, who'd been silent until now, leaned forward. Wait, Tyler doesn't know about this. He knows now, I said. He found out about Connor 3 days before the dinner where Brielle accused me. That's why their marriage was falling apart. Not because of anything I said. I pulled up my timeline document. Here's every conversation Brielle and I had over 6 months. Dates, times, topics. I never once told her to leave Tyler. I told her to be honest. To face her mistakes. To stop lying. I looked at Daphne. You demanded I tell the truth in front of everyone. Here it is. Your friend's daughter was hiding financial problems and emotional cheating from her husband. When it all came out, she needed someone to blame. So she blamed the one person in this family who doesn't have 20 years of history to fall back on. She blamed me. Daphne sat down slowly, like her legs wouldn't hold her. She stared at Brielle. You told me Arden was manipulating you. You said she was poisoning your mind against Tyler. Brielle's mask was cracking. She did. She kept pushing me to be honest. She wouldn't let it go. If she just stayed out of it. I stayed out of it until you dragged me into it, I interrupted. You came to me. You asked for advice. And when your marriage fell apart because of your own choices, you stood up at that dinner and blamed me so you wouldn't have to take responsibility. Brielle's expression shifted from desperate to angry. The tears stopped. You know what? Fine. Yes, I made mistakes. But you're not innocent here either, Arden. You should have kept your mouth shut. You should have just supported me instead of lecturing me about honesty all the time. So I should have helped you lie to your husband. She stood up, her voice rising. You should have been a better friend. Instead, you turned into some moral authority, judging every choice I made. You acted like you were better than me. I acted like someone who didn't want to help you destroy your marriage, I said calmly. Which is apparently what you needed, since you were already doing that on your own. The room turned on her then. I could see it happening. Ashley spoke first. Brielle, you told us Arden was the problem. You had us all believing she was this toxic person. Camden's uncle added. You made us cut Arden out of the family over lies. Brielle looked around wildly. You don't understand. My marriage was falling apart and I was terrified. I made a mistake accusing Arden, okay? Sorry. But she's not innocent. She recorded me without my permission. She saved my private messages to use against me. I saved messages you sent me, I corrected, because I knew exactly what you were doing. You weren't just venting to me, Brielle. You were building a case. Making sure if everything fell apart, you'd have someone to point at. Brielle's face twisted. You're cruel. You know that. You waited until you had an audience to humiliate me. You could have just shown Camden these messages privately, but you wanted to destroy me in front of everyone. You destroyed yourself, I said quietly. I just stopped taking the blame for it. Daphne had been silent, staring at the floor. Now she looked up at me. Arden, I owe you an apology. Waited. I should have asked questions, she continued. I should have listened to your side before deciding you were wrong. I was protecting Brielle because I've known her since she was a child, and I didn't want to believe she was capable of this. I was wrong. Should have felt good. Didn't. Because I knew what was coming next. However, Daphne said, and there it was, you also could have handled this differently. Coming to this meeting with a folder full of evidence feels like you were planning to embarrass Brielle publicly. I was planning to defend myself, I said. There's a difference. You could have shown these messages to Camden privately. You could have come to me first. I felt my anger flare. I did show them to Camden. He told me to let it go, to stop making it a thing. Because keeping peace was more important than clearing my name. Every eye turned to Camden. His face went red. That's not fair, Arden. I was trying to prevent exactly this. A public fight that tears everyone apart. And I was trying to stop everyone from thinking I'm a liar. I shot back. Daphne held up a hand. This isn't productive. The point is we all made mistakes here. Brielle shouldn't have blamed you. You shouldn't have ambushed her with evidence. Camden should have supported you better. We all need to take responsibility. I stared at her. She was doing it again. Making this everyone's fault so she didn't have to fully admit she'd been wrong. So the family image stayed intact. I pulled up one more screenshot. Before we move on to everyone taking responsibility, you should see this. I turned my phone toward Daphne. It was a text message from her to Brielle, sent 2 days after the dinner. Brielle, don't worry about Arden. She'll get over it eventually. Some people just love playing the victim. Let her sulk. Daphne's face went white. Where did you get that? Brielle forwarded it to me by accident, I said. She meant to send me a different message and hit the wrong thread. The room was silent. Ashley spoke quietly. Mom, you told us to give Arden space to cool down. You said you were trying to help fix things. But you were calling her a victim behind her back. Daphne stammered. I was upset. I said something I didn't mean. You meant it, I said. Just like you meant it when you demanded I apologize without hearing my side. Just like you meant it when you removed me from the family chat. You decided I was the problem because it was easier than admitting Brielle lied. I looked around the room. I'm not here for a group apology session where everyone takes a little blame so we can all feel better. I'm here because I was publicly accused of something I didn't do. And every single person in this room either believed it or stayed silent. Finally, Camden spoke. His voice was tight. I should have believed you. I should have looked at those messages when you first showed them to me. I should have defended you at the dinner. He paused. I was wrong. I don't know how to fix that. I looked at my husband, the man who was supposed to stand beside me no matter what, who'd instead chosen comfort over courage. You believed who was louder, I said quietly, not who was telling the truth. His face crumpled. Arden, please. You let them remove me from the family chat. You heard your mother call me a victim. You watched your aunt avoid me in the grocery store. And you did nothing because you thought it would blow over. I was trying to keep the peace, he said desperately. No, I replied. You were trying to avoid conflict. There's a difference. People started talking at once. Ashley was arguing with her mother. Tyler's brother was demanding to know why nobody had told him about the messages Brielle sent. Brielle sat in her chair crying, but this time nobody moved to comfort her. Camden's uncle tried to restore order, suggesting everyone take a breath and calm down. But the damage was done. The family had fractured. Some relatives immediately apologized to me. Camden's cousin Blake pulled me aside and said he was sorry for not responding to my texts. Ashley hugged me and said she should have asked more questions. But others doubled down. Camden's aunt declared the whole thing was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Tyler's mother said I shouldn't have kept those messages in the first place, that it was a betrayal of privacy. Daphne tried to smooth things over, suggesting we all take time to process and come back together when emotions weren't so high. Brielle stood up suddenly, her voice shaking with rage. You're all acting like I'm a monster. Like I'm the only person who's ever made a mistake. Arden ruined everything by bringing those messages here. She could have just forgiven me and moved on, but no. She had to win. She had to destroy me in front of everyone. I stayed seated calm. I didn't destroy you, Brielle. The truth did. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I hope you're proud of yourself, Arden. You got what you wanted. Everyone thinks you're the hero and I'm the villain. Congratulations. She slammed the door on her way out. Nobody went after her. The calls started that night. Some were apologetic. Ashley called to say she felt terrible about how she'd treated me. Blake texted a long message about believing Brielle too easily. Camden's uncle left a voicemail saying he should have asked more questions. But others were defensive. Daphne called Camden, not me, to say she thought I'd handled the meeting poorly. That I'd humiliated Brielle unnecessarily. That airing family problems in front of everyone was cruel. Tyler's mother sent a text saying privacy mattered, and I shouldn't have kept those messages without Brielle's knowledge. As if Brielle had asked permission before ruining my reputation. I listened to the voicemails, read the text, and felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction. Just exhaustion. Camden tried to talk to me that night. I'm sorry, he kept saying. I know I messed up. I should have stood by you from the beginning. Tell me how to fix this. I looked at him for a long moment. You can't. Don't say that. Please. I'll do better. I'll talk to my family. I'll make sure they know you were right. It's not about them knowing I was right, I said quietly. It's about you. You chose their comfort over my truth. When I needed you most, you told me to let it go. I was scared, he admitted. I didn't want to lose my family. So you were willing to lose me instead. He didn't have an answer for that. I set boundaries I'd never set before. I told Daphne I wouldn't be attending family dinners for a while. Maybe not ever. I told Camden's aunt that her comments about privacy were noted, and I wouldn't be reaching out to her again. I told Ashley I appreciated her apology, but our relationship would need time to rebuild. Some people understood. Others called me cold, unforgiving, said I was holding grudges. But I'd learned something important in all of this. Forgiveness isn't required for closure. I could close this chapter without pretending everything was fine, without making everyone comfortable at my expense. 3 days after the meeting, I told Camden I needed space. What does that mean? He asked, his voice shaking. It means I can't stay in a marriage where my voice is optional, where I'm only valued when I'm quiet and agreeable. Arden, please don't do this. We can work through this. I looked at the man I'd married 4 years ago. The man who'd promised to stand beside me. You thought this would blow over, I said. You genuinely believed if I just waited long enough, everyone would forget what happened and move on. That tells me everything I need to know about how you see me. That's not fair. Maybe not, I agreed. But it's true. I started packing a bag. Camden watched frozen. Where are you going? My friend's place. I need time to think without your family's opinions in my ear. How long? He asked. I stopped packing and looked at him. I don't know. Maybe a few weeks. Maybe longer. I need to figure out if this marriage is something worth fighting for. You're giving up on us. His voice cracked. No, Camden. I'm giving up on being the person who makes herself small so everyone else can be comfortable. If you can't understand the difference, then we have a bigger problem than I thought. I zipped my bag. Camden stood there, tears streaming down his face. I love you, he said desperately. I know I failed you, but I love you. Please don't leave. If you loved me, I said quietly, you would have believed me. You would have defended me. You would have stood up to your mother when she called me a victim. Love without action is just words, Camden. And I'm tired of words. I walked out the door with my bag. Behind me, I heard him say my name one more time. I didn't turn around. 2 weeks later, Brielle sent one last message. I was staying with my friend Vanessa, sleeping on her couch and trying to figure out what came next. My phone buzzed at 10 p.m. Brielle's name appeared on the screen. The message said, I hope you're happy. Tyler's filing for divorce. My reputation is destroyed. Your family thinks I'm a liar. All because you couldn't just keep quiet and let things settle naturally. You didn't have to expose me like that. You didn't have to be so cruel. But I guess that's who you really are. Someone who values being right over being kind. I hope it was worth it. I read it 3 times. Then I deleted it without responding. Vanessa came into the living room. Was that her? He nodded. What did she say? That I'm cruel for telling the truth. That I should have stayed quiet. Vanessa sat beside me. Are you going to respond? Thought about it. About all the things I could say. About how she'd lied to her husband for months. About how she'd thrown me under the bus to save herself. About how she'd turned an entire family against me without a shred of evidence. But I realized something important. Silence was no longer weakness. Silence was me refusing to engage with someone who'd proven she couldn't be trusted with my words. No, I said finally. I'm not responding. Good, Vanessa said. She doesn't deserve your energy. That night, I blocked Brielle's number. Not out of anger. Out of protection. She'd already taken enough from me. She didn't get another word. The truth spread without me pushing it. Family members who'd heard about the meeting told others. People who'd believed Brielle started questioning their judgment. Within a month, the entire family knew what really happened. Some reached out to apologize again. Camden's cousin invited me to coffee and spent an hour explaining how sorry she was for believing gossip over facts. Tyler's brother called to say he wished he'd known sooner, that he would have defended me if he'd understood. But others stayed quiet. Daphne never called me directly. She sent a message through Camden saying she hoped we could move past this eventually. Camden's aunt, who'd criticized me for keeping the messages, never acknowledged she was wrong. Tyler's mother continued to post vague quotes about forgiveness and moving on. I learned something important from that. Some people would rather protect their pride than admit they were wrong. And I didn't need their apologies to be free. The whispers that had once been about me being manipulative shifted. Now people whispered about how Brielle had lied. About how Daphne had played favorites. About how the family had failed me. I didn't feel victorious. Felt tired. And slowly, carefully, I felt something else. Free. Free from the weight of carrying someone else's lies. Free from the need to make everyone like me. Free from the exhausting work of staying small and quiet and agreeable. For the first time in years I could breathe. I didn't go back to Camden right away. I spent 6 weeks at Vanessa's place, working remote and avoiding family events. Camden texted every few days. Sometimes apologizing. Sometimes asking when I was coming home. Sometimes just saying he missed me. I responded occasionally. Kept things neutral. I wasn't ready to forgive him yet, and I told him that honestly. I need to know you've changed, I wrote. Not just that you're sorry, but that you understand why what you did was wrong. And that takes time. He seemed to understand. He stopped pushing. Started going to therapy himself, which surprised me. Sent me screenshots of books he was reading about supporting your spouse and setting boundaries with family. It was more effort than I'd expected. But I still wasn't sure it was enough. Meanwhile, I started building a life that didn't revolve around Camden's family. I reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. Started saying no to things I didn't want to do. Took a weekend trip by myself just because I could. Vanessa watched me slowly come back to life. You seem different, she said one morning over coffee. Different how? Lighter. Like you're not carrying something heavy anymore. She was right. I'd been carrying the weight of other people's opinions for so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to just exist without constantly managing everyone's feelings. 3 months after I left, Camden asked if we could meet. Not at home. At a neutral place. A park bench where we'd gone on one of our first dates. I agreed. When I arrived he looked thinner. Tired. But also more present than he'd been in years. We sat on that bench for 2 hours. Camden told me he'd been going to therapy every week. That he'd started seeing how much he'd prioritized his mother's approval over our marriage. How he'd learned to avoid conflict by making me the one who had to bend. My therapist asked me why I married you, he said. And I realized I couldn't answer without talking about how you made me feel. But I'd never once asked myself what I was giving you in return. He looked at me. I was taking your strength for granted. assuming you'd always be there no matter how I treated you. And when you needed me most, I chose the easy path. I chose not rocking the boat. I chose my family's comfort over your dignity. Yes, I said. You did. I don't know if you can forgive me for that, he continued. I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know I'm not the same person I was 3 months ago. I've set boundaries with my mother. I've told her she was wrong and that you don't owe her anything. I've cut off people who still defend Brielle. I'm trying to be the husband you needed me to be. I listened, watched him, tried to figure out if this was real change or temporary guilt. What about when the next hard thing happens? Yes. What happens when your family doesn't like a choice I make? When they think I'm being difficult or unreasonable? Then they can think that, he said firmly. My job is to stand beside you, not to make everyone else comfortable. I wanted to believe him, but belief required more than words. I need time, I said. I need to see this is real, not just something you're saying to get me back. He nodded. I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. 6 months later I moved back home. Not because everything was fixed, but because I saw real change. Camden had proven through actions, not promises, that he meant what he said. It's been a year since that family meeting. Brielle and Tyler are divorced. She moved to a different city. I heard through the family that she's doing fine, dating someone new, rebuilding her life. I don't think about her much anymore. Daphne and I have a polite but distant relationship. We see each other at holidays I choose to attend. She's never fully apologized, and I've accepted she probably never will. Some people aren't capable of that level of honesty. Camden and I are still married. It's different now. Better in some ways, harder in others. We're learning how to be partners instead of just two people who live together. He stands up for me now, sets boundaries, doesn't ask me to shrink myself for other people's comfort. The family still talks about what happened. Some treat me with careful respect now, like they're afraid of setting me off. Others have genuinely changed how they see me. A few still think I was too harsh, that I should have handled it privately. I've made peace with that. Looking back, people ask if I regret exposing Brielle publicly. If I wish I'd handled it differently. And the answer is no. Not because I enjoyed humiliating her, but because staying silent wasn't protecting me. It was protecting everyone else from having to face an uncomfortable truth. I didn't expose her to hurt her. I told the truth so I could finally stop carrying someone else's lies. That's the real story. Not about revenge or vindication. About refusing to be small. About standing up even when everyone wants you to sit down. About understanding that sometimes the cruelest thing you can do is stay silent while someone destroys your name. So no, I don't regret it. I regret that it had to happen at all. But I don't regret choosing myself. Finally. Completely. Without apology. If you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, if you've ever stayed quiet while someone lied about you, drop a comment below. Share your story. You're not alone. And remember, the truth doesn't need your permission to exist. Just needs your courage to speak it. Hit that subscribe button for more stories about standing up when everyone wants you to stay down. And like this video if you believe silence isn't always golden. Sometimes it's just surrender.